So sometime last year, which was early 2025, I found myself in this place in which I fell out of love with myself, right? I think during that time, um, some weird changes began to take place within me, right? I began to change in some kind of unexpected ways. And I found myself in this place in which I was kind of questioning myself. I was questioning my self worth. My confidence in myself took a hit. And overall, it was kind of just, a strange or a weird time in my life. And, during that time, um, I was kind of beating myself up a bit. Because during that time, I was kind of, doing all the things, doing all the meditation, um, reading all the books, doing all the visualizations, the affirmations, so on and so forth. And to find myself in that place while I was doing all that, I felt like I was going backwards, you know. Now, fast forward today, I'm in a much better place. I love myself more. My confidence is back up. And overall, I just feel, really good about myself. But because of that experience, I realized something. I realized that falling out of love with yourself is natural and it is human. A lot more human than we like to admit. A lot of us, especially in certain communities, we promote just um, loving yourself, feeling good about yourself, having confidence. But no one really talks about the times in which they do fall out of love with themselves, right? Very few people talk about the periods in your life in which you might begin to question your self worth. Your confidence takes a hit. And overall, you just don't feel good about yourself, right? No one really, no one really talks about that. And I think we all have periods in our lives at some point in which we do fall out of love with ourselves. Let's say we went through a breakup, a really horrible breakup with someone that we love, probably lost someone close to us, probably lost our job. We go through periods of sickness in which we might, you know, maybe lose some weight, gain some weight, so on and so forth. There are so many different things and experiences in life that cause us to fall out of love with ourselves. And I'm recognizing that it is natural. It is okay to have periods in which you do out of love with yourself. You go into, and it is natural to have periods in which you do question yourself. It is absolutely natural as long as you don't allow yourself to stay there. As long as you don't allow yourself to wallow in that self pity, in that low self esteem, in that lack of confidence. and you do what's necessary to build yourself back up. As long as you pick yourself back up, it is absolutely human. And something that I realize after having various periods in my life in which I did fall out of love with myself, right? This is not only a one time thing. Looking back, I've had quite a few times in which I did fall out of love with myself, right? That experience last year, early last year, was just the most recent one and probably the most major one, I would say. But something that I realized was that every time I do fall out of love with myself, I return with a stronger sense of self love. I return with a stronger sense of confidence. And overall, it's kind of like the deeper I fall, the the higher I return in self love, right? That's something that I came to realize. And what I also came to realize was that every time I did return in love, the love that I returned with wasn't love that was kind of based in the world or predicated on the world, right? It was love that was rooted in myself. It wasn't some sort of love that I derived from the world, right? Some external thing that I used to love myself. It was love that came from within. It was a deeper and a more rooted internal sense of love. And I think when we go through life, life is always constantly going to sort of disappoint us, right? Life is always, or the world is always constantly going to sort of let us down. You know, when the changes begin to take place out here, that is kind of like the world letting us down. But it's not even in a sort of malicious way. It's doing all this so that we can sort of detach our sense of self from the world, detach our love, our self love from the world, and go within ourselves to find that love, go within ourselves to find that confidence. It is life's way of telling us that us deriving our sense of self from this isn't stable at all, right? Us deriving our confidence from the world can give to us isn't stable at all because at any moment it can be taken away. If your sense of self and if the reason why you feel good about yourself is the fact that you're in a relationship, at some point that might be taken away or it is going to be taken away. If the sense of love that you feel for yourself is based on your accomplishments and your achievements and the cars you drive and the house you own, so on and so forth, those things do or will be taken away. And even if they aren't taken away, you're going to find yourself in this place in which you do have them, but you feel as if there's something missing as well. After the high of having them, goes away. So I think life is always leading us back to go within ourselves. Life is constantly telling us that we need to stop relying so much on the world and go within ourselves to find that source of love. Go within ourselves to find that source of confidence, right? That is what life is always trying to lead us back to. Excuse me for the noise. There's a guy with a tractor coming this way. with. There's a story in the Bible, the story of the prodigal son. I'm not a religious person. I read a lot of different texts, so on and so forth, but I grew up on that story. And essentially in the story, the son left his father's house to go out in the world, you know. He wanted to do his own self-search, self-discovery, you know. He left the house to go away. But then he soon returned because he recognized that there was nothing out there for him. And he returned back to his father's house. And he thought that his father would be sort of disappointed or upset or angry or whatever. But his father welcomed him with an open arms. You know, he welcomed him back with love. And I think that story is a lot deeper than we realize, right? The way I interpret that story is that sometimes we will go away from the source of love that lies within us, and we will go in search of that love in the world. We'll try to find that love in the world. But at some point, the world will constantly disappoint us. At some point, we will realize that there's nothing out here for us. And then that the love that was always here, the love that always lies within ourselves, is always there to welcome us back. And that is the most stable love that you will ever find. Not a love that will or that is derived from the world, but love that is independent of the world. That's the greatest kind of love. When you can love yourself in the absence of things that you desire, and you can love yourself when you're not in a relationship, when you can love yourself when things aren't going the way you want them to, that is the greatest kind of love. So, all the disappointments that we face out here, all the changes that take place in our lives, it is kind of life's way of saying, you need to get back to the love that lies within you. You need to get back to the love that is here. The more disappointments that we face by relying on things out here, it is life's way of ushering us back to ourselves. And that's what I came to realize. And presently, I'm in this place in my life in which obviously I'm still sort of attached to certain things in the world, and I'm working to let go of them. I'm working to not allow my sense of self-worth and self-esteem to be based on the world. But I can safely say it is much less based on the world than even a year ago or 6 months ago. You know, very few things right now affect me as much as they used to. And the love that I have for myself is rooted in my being, in my existence, right? That is the greatest kind of love. When you can love yourself in the absence of everything that we would usually rely on to be the reason why we love ourselves. That is the greatest kind of love. So yeah, falling out of love with yourself is human. It is human. Oh shit. So if you do find yourself in a place in your life in which you falling out of love with yourself, know that it is okay, and know that it is part of this experience that we call life. And actually know that it is a beautiful thing to fall out of love with yourself, because this is your opportunity to return back to that love with a deeper sense of love, the opportunity to return back to yourself with a sort of love that isn't dependent on the world and is rooted in your being. It's a beautiful thing. Every time you fall, it is a chance to get back up. Every time you're disappointed by the world, it is an opportunity to not be disappointed by the world. So falling out of love with yourself is not only human, but it is an opportunity. So take it as an opportunity. Pick yourself back up, return back to yourself with love, and know that no matter what happens, no matter how far you fall, how far you go, just like that father that welcomed back his son with open arms and with love, the love that is within you, the higher self that is within you, is always there and waiting to welcome you back with open arms. And no matter what happens, no matter how far you fall, you are always loved. Love is your birthright, love is your nature. You're not unworthy, you're not something that's broken. Nothing that your emotions are telling you in this moment are true about you. You are perfect, you are beautiful, you're magnificent, just as you are. And you need to rise back in love and return back to yourself with love. And don't spend so much time beating yourself back up because you're not broken, you're human. And sometimes being human means you will have periods in your life in which you do fall out of love with yourself, and that's okay. As long as you pick yourself back up and you return back with love. Alright? So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here with me. And I'm gonna chill and just relax out here for a little bit. Take care of yourselves. Give yourselves a bit of love every day, like I always say. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace and blessings.